Hey everybody, welcome to Trading Capital's exclusive analysis. In today's video, discussing natural gas. Looking at the natural gas daily chart, today was an overall reversal day. You actually had nat gas make a new intraday high, testing the 237.50 area and then reversing off of this daily chart. Now, the two moving averages that we have here in purple is the 50 and the blue is the daily 200. So what's really interesting about this price action is, as you can see, the 50 is slowly starting to try to slope down into the 200. That's notoriously known as the death cross. Whenever you get the death cross, that typically means bearish price action for the long term, but noticeably, every time we usually get a death cross formation starting to occur, you get a little bit of a rally. Notice how the 50 started to down slope into the 200 and you got a nice little rally. Typically, that death cross is a short-term buy signal as we slope down. Notice how we're starting to slope down again, and you're getting a nice little bit off of the lows. Now, what do I think is going to be happening for nat gas? I think it's going to be pretty crucial to watch this death cross, whether or not it happens, because last time we got the daily death cross was over here, and look what ended up happening. I mean, nat gas, let's just go to our price and date range tool. So from the death cross, actual death cross, nat gas ended up falling basically to a low here. Let me just tighten that up. So right on that candle formation high right there, nat gas fell about 39% in 32 days. That was more than 1% per a day once that death cross certainly happened. Now we're in an interesting scenario here where if for some reason natural gas can start to create this death cross from failing and we get above the daily 200 and the 50, then this could be a very, very bullish potential move that is starting to unfold. I think a lot of market participants, are watching two things, right? We have a beautiful, beautiful neckline that we had an attempt at breaking out here, which failed. That's why we got the big, big sell-off. Then we had a big technical breakdown from this pivot to this pivot to this pivot, which ended up failing as well. So we had a bullish move that failed, and now we're potentially having a bearish move that is failing, and this could result in a much, much bigger move to the upside to come. Granted, we do have a potential, and I say potential because this pattern formation has not triggered yet. This would be a epic inverse head and shoulders pattern. If this was to be an inverse head and shoulders pattern, this would give us a roughly a 94% move, an upside move, or a $1.51 upside move from the neckline. So roughly that could give us an upside target of 460. Now, this type of inverse head and shoulders is only valid once we test and break this neckline. So I mean, we would still need to work ourselves all the way up to about 310 on the chart in order for us to consider this a valid pattern. Now, a lot of people try to front run these patterns. I'm certainly also trying to front run it. I am long natural gas, full disclosure, via UNG, and our members actually just pulled profits yesterday on the first half of our UNG, and basically we're leaving stops running. My average is sitting at 13.55 on the UNG trade, and I do think that nat gas has a little bit more upside. And one pattern I'm watching too in the short term, now that we've discussed the longer term pattern, is there's also a potential for a mini inverse head and shoulders. We have the left shoulder here, we have a head forming, and then we have a potential right shoulder. And this right shoulder maybe needs a little bit more time to develop. Maybe we check back to this 213, 212 area, but there's still a potential that this could just be a flat top neckline. And let's just see if this is trying to break out. What type of an upside move are we looking at just off of this little bit of a mini daily chart pattern? We're looking at a potential 19% rally, which adjusted, that would be about a 37-point move all the way to 265 if this were to be an inverse head and shoulders breakout here. Again, don't be surprised. I would actually like to see it check back to this neckline, and then that would create a much, much more meaningful, congruent right shoulder, and then we could potentially make a move higher. But nevertheless, if this high pivot holds and we get a little bit of a breakout further, then nat gas could be well on the way. Today, nat gas inventories came in, forecast is 43 billion. It came in at minus 6 billion, and that's why we kind of saw a little bit of a reversal through that daily 200, taking us back down. But as we speak, nothing technically wrong with the chart. As long as we stay above this trend line, I am going to remain bullish on this commodity. Hope this analysis helps. Please give this video a like down below, and we will see you on the charts a little bit later. And one more thing, let's just go to the weekly chart. Okay, weekly chart formation is very, very key. Let's just draw this trend line from this pivot. Take a look what we're running into as well. This is a big, big resistance area. This is a pivot going all the way back to kind of your COVID low. Pivot, pivot, breakaway, a little bit of a failure. Now we're back testing that area. This is a massive level for nat gas. Why? If it gets through it, a bullish pattern starts to play out. If it gets rejected, then honestly the downside target could be pretty extreme. I mean, just for a bearish formation case, if this turns out to be a rejection here, nat gas could go all the way down to the low of this parallel channel. You have this kind of one wave, two wave, big bounce. This is kind of your trend reversal bounce. And now we're potentially at an inflection point here where it's make or break. I do like the fact that the weekly chart of nat gas has this beautiful bullish engulfing weekly candle to trade against. So really, if you want to trade that as a low stop loss, that's a pretty defined stop pivot in my opinion. A bullish weekly engulfing candle. This is why I do think that there's going to be a little bit more upside, because we do have that bullish weekly engulfing candle. And then simultaneously, this could be our first higher weekly low. So there's a lot of things that we need to watch here for nat gas, but again, we'll just take it candle by candle.